Well, I am live, I'm told. So I'm going to go live here on Facebook in our family of Challenged Minds group as well. Hello there. I know that you know me. I'm not going to wait for anybody to talk about this subject. I'm at home recovering from some eye surgery and just felt like it was necessary that I talk about this. I was so moved. As we know, with the issues of the Me Too movement and looking at what happened with Harvey Weinstein and the Me Too movement, I mean, I was just laying in the bed going through the channels seeking for something wholesome to watch. And I came up on this documentary about R. Kelly and this sexual ring of things that he has done that's so horrific. But I want to shed some light coming from a leader's perspective and coming from a parent or grandparent's perspective. And I also want to shed some light coming from clergy, counselor, and a survivor, of sexual abuse. But let me say this to you for those with the chance to watch this. We got to know it as the laws of the land goes. We know that a person is innocent until proven guilty. But even a blind man can see, based on the testimonies that has went forth thus far from these women, just like with Harvey Weinstein's case. This is real, and it did happen. The worst thing you could do is tell a survivor that it's not true. And so as I began to look at this documentary, I start to think to myself, okay, they found you not guilty. But our daddy God, this is the reason why I put hashtag Luke 12 and 2 there. But our daddy God knows that there's nothing that's going to be remain covered and that you thinking that it shall never ever be revealed. This is why he's called God. At some point, this is going to be revealed here on earth, or you will deal with this, dealing with daddy God at the end. And I behoove you, if you listen to this, anybody that's connected to him, that you understand that the best thing you could do right now is deal with it right here on earth. You do not want to go into a great lake of fire. I'm not going to get into no preaching thing with that, but I want to talk about, got some notes here that I do want to share, and I'm going to get through those. So anybody that see this and say it's long, you can fast forward or do whatever you want to do. But I want to make sure that those who might see this, who have a heartbeat that I have concerning this matter, for what I examine, just watching him, looking at him, listening to the survivor stories, my heart just bled. I mean, I said, Lord, let me get some notes together here because I need to get on here and talk about shedding some light on my perspective from that I told you where I stand as a survivor, as a counselor and therapist, and one who I believe that clergy should be voicing that we should no longer tolerate these types of things. I mean, just like over 200, I think, over 200 different victims, were, I mean, not 200, over, I think, hundreds or what have you. I don't even remember the number, but I know that it was so horrific. But they said that over 200 and some odd leaders who, that is not leaders, but those who were in the Christian, not the Christian, but in the movie industry came down because of the Me Too movement. And so I'd like to believe that we will begin now trying to talk about these matters to see how we can bring some of these things down, at least decrease the numbers of these type of things that we just seen here on this documentary concerning R. Kelly. So they say he's not guilty. But being a seer, being someone who can discern pretty keenly in the spirit, I can discern very clearly that what was said happened. And it's not about bringing down no career. I believe that only God can do that. And I believe that at this particular time in his life, he's been graced. And so I want to say to you, those that are watching me, and I'm praying that it's being recorded on YouTube Live as well, that where I have it at, because I want to tell you what the Holy Spirit was ministering to me concerning his behavior. And I'm going to read my notes here. He was telling me that This particular behavior we know is very, very key to the narcissistic type of mentality. But what he was showing me was that he's a pathological, he's pathological in his as a sexual predator. So I want to define what that means. It means that this person has this type of behavior that when they behave in whatever it is, sexual, anger, rage, whatever it is, it's very extreme and is what we describe is not acceptable, what's called mild anger, but it's very, very grave. It's very, very serious. And they have this very powerful way that they have these feelings that they say that they can't control. This is the reason why he so boldly say, yeah, I was with young girls, but I wouldn't be called pedophile. But that means I'll be with young girls, but that don't mean I'm necessarily having sex with them. Maybe I just think about doing them. So that he experienced this type of thing was very, very chronic, and this thing that he continued to do. But yet, finally, when he got caught, finally when this pathological issue started to get to the point that these girls started to get jealous of one another, even though they were being abused, all these different lewd sex acts and things like that was going on. Now it has become a sexual sex trafficking cult. I know y'all hear what I'm saying to you. It really was true. But until someone brought it up, until someone, just like Jim Jones and so many others, until someone made a decision, no longer am I going to let my baby go through this. No longer am I going to suffer this thing, for the sake of fame. That's the key right there, for the sake of fame. And for those who watch me for the first time, you don't know what happened to my face. I'm a survivor of family violence with my children's father when I was 18 years old. Took a 12-gauge shotgun at close range and blew up my face. But I'm a survivor. I'm not just a survivor. I am a thriver. And I thank God that I'm alive and well today to be able to talk to you concerning this R. Kelly mess. But I want to say that it's beyond that. This is where we are in an hour of sexual trauma that has been put in the back burner for way too long. And so R. Kelly, yes, he is, and I'm going to call it what it is, and we need to make sure that we be careful about calling people names, but I'm talking from a perspective as a counselor. He is going through, let's use that gently, he is going through what they allege, but I have seen in the spirit very keenly that he is a sexual pathological liar. Okay, and that he is going through this area in his life where he is forcing people to get have sexual behaviors that is not conducive to any soundness of anybody's mind. And then the worst part about it, he wants to do it publicly and boldly, and that means to humiliate, to decharacterize these women that he has been with. Now, because he's going through this type of behavior, I want to say this to you. He needs to be forced. I believe that even if they found that he was not guilty, I believe that he needed to be forced to get counsel. He needed to be forced to at least repent to these young girls and people like that maybe he did things that he knew he should not do, regardless if they were looking for fame and they became a victim or not. I believe that he should repent to that part of it, because woe unto you. I also believe that he needs to be watched. Because when this thing calms down after this documentary and all this, just like with Weinstein, when everything calms down, then here pops up another devil of all type of sexual abuse and lewdness and all type of pornography and things like that people are still just patting their hand or just saying, oh my God, and nobody's doing anything about it. Nobody's saying anything about it. But I bless God that He's given me holy boldness, and it doesn't matter what anybody say or write or type. My assignment is to be able to sound the alarm. And I believe that as a clergyman, I believe that as a person who is anointed in the area to be able to see, to be able to make sure that I voice my opinion, and that's all we have today is an opinion because we're not the law. I also want to say that some of these things that's been covered up over the years, we refuse to share. We refuse to go and make any voice about, because many of the people who are in the Christian today, they like R. Kelly. They like the music. They like his ways. I mean, my God, because I don't even listen to this man. When I went on there and saw some of the things that he was saying, some of the messages that he was speaking, his music, talking about, I want to pee on you, or let me pee on you, whatever it is. I'm like, what? What is this mess? When we think on this, We've covered this up way too long. We've allowed people to become fame off of in fame, indecency, and we continue to promote that and buy their tapes and things like that. And our children are practicing these same things. God help us today. Uh, but anyway, considering these recent events, and it's very, very timely for me to get on here as clergy. I'm not trying to. That's why I got hashtag Luke 12 and 2 there. It's not going to stay covered. I want to make sure that announcement to you, Mr. R. Kelly. It's not going to stay covered. It's going to be revealed, and it's going to come to the knowledge of the truth for everybody who's already seen the documentary. It's going to come to the point, like they did with Weinstein. You will be going to jail, and you will be dealt with concerning what has happened here. Whether these women were looking for fame, that you took that as your opportunity to be of all things that I heard you say, Daddy. Lord, help us all today. Daddy. And these things that you want to be king. Is something wrong with that? And I really believe that we need to look at and be able to spot these types of predators today, and to be able to spot them so that our children and those people you're grandparents, those people you are mentoring, those people that you're dealing with in children's church, those people you're dealing with that have women ministries and things like that. We need to talk about these matters, and we need to have some groups about that. So let me talk about on an article that I was reading before I got on here about how they can boldly demonstrate these perverted sex acts or types of love behaviors. And that is to make sure that they control and have power over their minds. This is what they do. And this is what many of them have done in the perverted antichrist Christendoms that they've made up, so that they can get the people to be controlled, get them to think like they think or believe like they believe, and to believe that they love them and that they are a family. This is what happened with this particular situation as well. They especially want the victim to feel like they are better than anybody else, that you are my only one, and so on. They want them to feel that you're my best sexual type of driver. You drive me sexually this way. And I know I'm talking to somebody. Many of them that are single today who are in relationships have relationships that they want them to believe they're the only one. By telling them you really know how to make me feel. This is what's wrong today. Many of us trying to feel powerful. Many of us trying to feel big and important. And this is why we got to make sure that we have these type of sessions and meetings so we can get the people to understand that these feelings can destroy you. I don't want to preach. I'm trying to slow it down. But just as you heard these stories on this documentary, I want to go through these particular ones to share about this epidemic that is growing, and to share about how this epidemic that we tend to want to cover up because we figure, oh, well, yeah, that's them. But we got to remember, we got kids who are looking up to R. Kelly. We've got people who are sitting in our church who believe that R. Kelly is innocent. When we got victims and people crying out, and parents crying out, and grandparents crying out about what has happened to their children and their loved ones. God help me today. I'm trying to slow it down. But our children today, in the body of Christ, is sitting back having church as usual. And our children today need to be in these children churches and talking about things that matter, such as, let's talk about this matters to Daddy God. Your body matters to God. This is what we need to be going at to talk about these areas that we don't want to talk about because it's too uncomfortable. You need to get a sign off from these parents. As a matter of fact, just make it a family night and talk about it so you won't be dealing with parents that didn't know you was talking about it. But this don't tell situation has been very, very rapid in many families today. This don't tell situation is still going on right now in families of incest, in families of all types of realms, whether you from a foster parent or adopted parent or situation, these things are going on. But we got to make sure that the sexual abuse, this sex trafficking, this domestic violence, and all that, we've got to deal with these situations because they are destroying the very fiber of our youth. That's who we need to be looking at first, because a whole bunch of us are making our own decisions about these matters because of fame, because of whatever, to make them look like they're going to do this or that. That you'll show your body, that you'll sex text, and you'll do these things to try to see how many hits you can get on this or that, or how many people be drawn to your genitals and so on. Lord help us today. But I want to say I commend these women. I really, really do. I commend them for their efforts to be bold enough to come out and talk, just like those that were with, Weinstein. So why is it that when we really did it with a whole bunch of black women, oh God help me, I don't want to make it a race situation because abuse and sex trafficking, all this stuff don't have no color and it don't have no gender, it don't have no culture name. Don't get that twisted. But I commend these women because they made a decision that they'd rather lose everything after they come to the knowledge of the truth of really what's going on with them. So I commend you today. I commend the Me Too movement. I commend those who are really willing to talk and say, this is what truly going on in my life, in my family. This is what I have put myself in the middle of. This is what I need counseling about. This is what I have done with my life. And now I want to make sure that it doesn't continue in nobody else's life. I commend you all today in this documentary concerning, R. Kelly, telling your stories. So if you haven't seen the documentary, you need to go on YouTube, go on anywhere you'll find it in regard to R. Kelly. But these survivors, your voices are helping, and I want to commend you again for pulling those masks off of those people who are undercover, because this is a sexual demon that has been way out of control way too long. But because these women came forth in this documentary, this gives a light of hope. And so I'm here to shed a faithful light. That's why I gave you Luke 12:2, to make sure, R. Kelly, you understand that it may be covered in your mind's sight by the legal authorities. But our daddy God has a light that shines on dark and light. And you need to understand right now, as I'm speaking to you, bro, that it may be revealed to you at a time somewhere down the line. But you need to know that it's only covered for a time. So you're grace right now. That's where you're at. And so let's talk about these particulars that we need to make sure that we teach in our women's groups, our Sunday youth and teen ministry, women ministry groups. Yeah. Let's have a session on these things that I'm going to share here, some MOs that we need to be understanding that are going on in regards to, like I said, pathological narcissistic type of pathological sexual predators, like this one that was on this documentary. And we got to know that it's real. Okay. I mean, it's in the church and it's very, very real. And narcissism is one that many times people want to overlook, but this is the vein that he came out of. And sure, he went through abuse. He may be a victim himself. But we need to understand that when people don't get help, they go from hell to hell, growing up that demon bigger and bigger. And that's what has happened to R. Kelly and so many others who are walking around this type of mentality, to abuse others while they're only hurting themselves as well. Lord, help me today. They'll sell it out. They'll sell out their whole fame. They'll sell out everything because it's a perverted spirit. Mm-hmm. And the worst part of a perversion is become pathological. And so number one, what they really do is they want to get the attention, okay? So you heard those in the documentary talk about how he, talk about they were special. He was going to help them get up. He really, really got their attention. He drawed into them and gave them attention. That's what the first thing that the pathological narcissistic type of sexual predator does, okay? Because remember, this move that he made it a cult, but he really was a sex trafficker. Lord help me today. In his mode of stardom. And we have a whole lot of that going on today. And those who have stardom, they use their stardom to make sure that they use that to draw in these who want to be stars. And so they give them all these what they call quirks or benefits. You come to my mansion, you get to come here, you get to do that, while they're sexually abusing them and emotionally abusing them and being violent with them as well. And then isolate them from everybody. And then number two, they manipulate language. Okay, I hope y'all write this down. Those who are women ministry leaders and so on, they manipulate language. Okay, so they want to make sure they give a talk to make sure that all the elements of their conversation has to do with making you feel like, oh well, if you don't do this or that, or you do something to make sure that I'm upset or I'm not agreeing with you. Now they manipulate to make it look like you're doing something wrong that's going to keep you out of the light. Lord help today. So they carefully introduce these things to them by giving them clothes and jewelry and things like that, you know. And when they don't meet their expectations, they try to draw and wean things away from them. So they manipulate the language by saying one thing one way and doing things another way. I know it sounds familiar, don't it? And number three, they make it seem normal. They make it seem like that everything that's going on is a normal behavior. You heard those on a documentary talk about it. Seemed like it was okay. These women who lost, these young girls who lost their virginity. God help me today. Because he made it appear to be normal. Appear to be normal that it's okay that you have another woman in bed here with me while you all do oral sex on one another. It's a normal thing for me to have sex with you and you call me daddy. Oh, God help today. It's a normal thing. But because of the hunger and the desire for fame, you know, because that's what it is. That type of greed is destroying the very fiber of our youth today because they want to be famous. That's why they'll get on there, be undressed, and do everything and try to rap things and say things that are not very, very nicely said because they want to be famous. They want their bodies to be shown, meaning, see, I do all this. I say this. I do that. Please look at me. And so this part starts with emotional and psychological abuse, and they ultimately end up like what R. Kelly did, sexual abuse, sex trafficking. These women, these young girls who were hungry to be noticed, to become famous. Then number four, he played the victim. Now you see that he began to play the victim, right? Saying, I don't know why they're trying to bring me down. We had people even lobbying outside the courthouses saying, leave him alone. He did nothing. It's not him. They're trying to ruin his career. Really? This grandiose type of behavior, you know, they never take any responsibility for what they've done. He still don't take any responsibility. He's just saying these were girls. I like girls. You know, I like women too. So he's saying he don't do anything younger than 19. But I guess what he really means is he do with anything that say teen, T-E-E-N. Lord help. So what happened to 12? You know, it don't say teen. Let me give me some water on that. 12 don't say teen. No, it doesn't. Please watch the documentary. I had to get out of my bed and just put this rag on my head and make a decision that I'm going to talk right now. Don't care who don't like it. We're in our right now that we got to fight. We got to fight with everything we got. We got to fight. First fight we got to fight with our mouth. Many of you won't talk. Many of you won't say anything. Many of you just have church as usual. Many of you just have little groups and your women teas and things like that. But you will not talk to these girls about what is not right type of love and what is not right type of sexual behavior. But yet you find these girls not going with other girls, even with women. I don't want to preach. These young girls, they're so beautiful that we got even preachers sleeping with these young girls because they're so beautiful. Their minds become perverted. The devil uses what happened to them. Now they figure they can get away with it, so they start sleeping with them too. Lord help. And then they become so vulnerable, they tell them all what happened to them when they was raped when they was young by their aunts and their uncle. And now they want to act like they're counseling them. And then they have sex with them. And saying like R. Kelly, I'm daddy. I'm mommy now. I'm your pastor. I'm your mentor. I'm trying to help you. God help us today. So they become a victim. They begin to coerce the victim and they get them in this type of control. So they play these deadly games with them, you know, this mouse chase me and then I'm going to blame you after you catch me. Now I'm back with you. So I'm going to blame you for all this thing that's been going on that we've been going through because of you. So now it's the blame game. They become the victim. And now you fall into it because you don't want to be left out of the light. I'm just trying to shed some kingdom light today. God help today. So these women have experienced sexual abuse even as a child. You know, many of them as early as maybe 5 years old, they begin to remember these things. And now they figure that perversion was acceptable. That perversion that their daddy did, their uncle did, they said, don't tell. It was something that they figured they survived. And so if I'm going to be able to get to stardom, I guess I can tolerate this too. So They told him about, he told them about his sexual abuse. They told him about theirs. So they all just decided to be perverted together. Does it make it right? No. And so what they did is that from his abuse, they got re-traumatized all over again. All of these women need to get some sound counsel. All of them. And it's a crying shame that all these things that's been going on, even with these situations that has happened with domestic violence, sex trafficking, all that people will not hook up with organizations who are trying to make an impact to get some help for these people. Why don't you do a campaign there in the women's group? Why don't you do a campaign there for domestic violence and sexual assault and sex trafficking and things like that? Why can't we do that? You know, I mean, all these women came together to Me Too movement. Why we can't have a kingdom movement? Lord help today. Anyway, and the fifth thing is that he ridiculed her. He ridiculed these women. He turned around and he felt like because I'm right, and that's what narcissism does. I'm right. I'm king. I'm the best. I don't make mistakes. You got to listen to me. I know all the answers. You know, it's my way or the highway. Okay, this is a narcissistic type of mentality. But what I described to you early on, he's pathological. So now he wants to go on and be this grandiose, extreme everything, that he is lawless. There's no law that's going to touch me because I'm famous. I got money. I got people who can get me out of this. And they did. Lord help us all today. We're in a bad fix, y'all. But the devil can't win. Jesus is Lord over everybody and every matter. I want you to know that, R. Kelly. Everybody and every matter. You just make sure you keep that hashtag Luke 12 and 2. It's just a matter of time. I want you to know, even though you think that you have been able to ridicule these women and talk down these women and degrade your wife and not take care of your kids and try to make it look like all this is just woe is me and you're the victim and none of these things happen and I'm just trying my best to get better. I said once again, the laws of the land says a man is innocent until proven guilty. But the laws of the seer and the eyes of those who say they walk uprightly before God, who can see in the spirit, should be able to shed light even now in their own ministry, in their own houses, about the real truth about this documentary. Won't you sit down and make it a family night about it? Won't you sit down and talk about it? I challenge you in the church. I challenge you to sit down in your own house. It's so graphic, you can't do it in the church house. But what about in your own house? You can sit down and let's talk about these matters. Have you ever done that? Have you ever done threesomes before? Have you ever done this? Has anybody forced you to do that? Has anybody ever did this kind of lewdness to you? God help me today. I know Daddy's talking to somebody. So he ridiculed them. He makes sure that every detail of their experiences always just going to be something in the past. Even though they're crying and dealing with it right now in the future. You heard his ex-wife talk about it was like nothing to him for her to lose baby. You know, it's like, oh, well, let's go on to the next song. Lord, help me today. And then the next thing, number 6, he punishes them, their boundaries sexually. I talked about that earlier on. This is where they engage in all these different types of sex acts, all kind of lewd ways, any kind of way you want, you know, video, you know, pornography, the whole nine. And then the worst part, if you look at the documentary, it talked about how he had a mattress. Lord help me today. A mattress in the middle of the studio, which made it very, very clear that we're going to boldly have sex. I'm going to boldly have sex with whoever I want to, when I feel like it, how I want to, who I want to, how many I want to, in the bed at one time, and video it. Because he's king. He's daddy. Isn't that a cult? Volunteer cult. They volunteer to be in this cult. And I'm not going to re-victimize them by saying because you volunteered to be in it, because you want to be in it, that you know you need to be suffering this consequence. No. I'm saying that I got women and young girls who are volunteering right now, who have not even said anything, who should be in the Me Too movement because of whatever reason that they might lose their opportunity for a movie or whatever. But I'm telling you right now, God is watching this thing. And what are you going to do about it? Here it is. I'm going to give you some suggestions in a few minutes. So he pushed their boundaries. He make them do things that they don't want. This is the type of thing, and I'm saying he, but we got women doing the same thing now. So we're not going to be partial on this. I want to keep it real, real, real. I'm talking about R. Kelly because this is what was thrust into me this morning. But it's all types of R. Kellys out there. They may be in a different gender or a different culture, but they're out there. I'll be sending some videos a little bit later on here so you can see how many of the different cultures today are allowing their children to marry these grown men and have sex with them too. We're in a time right now, we got to be more than praying just around the corner and in the house, and at the church. We want to be praying internationally. We want to be pulling down some strongholds. We want to be casting down every type of principality and power that this enemy is trying to do to destroy the very fiber of the minds of the innocent. God help today. And so these horrific sex acts while other people watch, and it's like it's nothing. And then the worst part of these stats I want to share with you for those who are trying to do some type of help for these women or people who want to host this, because you got to remember this prey is not just on these type of predators, are not just on women. Remember, they doing boys today real heavy today too. So we got to make sure that we look at the stats. And so CDC defines sexual assault as some type of significant problem, but we need to know that it's not just a problem, it is an epidemic, okay? A sexual perverted epidemic is what Abba says. And we as a body have to shed some light on this thing. We as a body got to talk about this matter. Amen. And so it says about 1/5 of women in the U.S. are assaulted at some point in their lives, along about one in every 71 men. So the stats with the women is quiet. We don't really have a whole bunch of women stats here, but you can rest assured they're out there. If you look hard enough, you'll find them. And it's a sad thing that we have that many women who know that they have been sexually assaulted by their own mothers or aunts or nieces and so on, because cases I've had where these people have said that. These people that's been sexually assaulted by their own aunties, and mama's best friends. Lord help. I don't want to even get into it. But it says about 37% of female rape victims are first raped between ages 18 to 24. And they said some of these girls that he was with was young as 12 years old. They kept saying 14. I kept hearing somewhere 12. I was like, every time I hit 12, I would miss it. I must have been doing something. But when I heard it, my heart just grieved. I said, God help. And this part that they said, they're going to show you how perverted this thing is, because it is narcissistic and because it is such a, as I said earlier on, to the point that this person has, this pedophile way has come so perverted in the mind to believe that all sex is normal. So he urinates in the mouth of a 14-year-old during a sexual act that he feels, that makes him feel, king or daddy, that you're going to feel me, that I'm going to pee on you or in your mouth. Sounds graphic and horrible, don't it? But you need to hear it this way. So maybe it'll pierce your heart like it did with mine, and you'll start to think, God help me today. I got grandbabies listening to this mess. I got great-grandbabies listening to this mess. I got babies that's growing up, teens that are growing up that I mentored, that I cover, dealing with this mess. To believe that it ain't me. As long as he ain't doing it, I don't do it. The music is still good. No, you should not even patronize the mess at all. God help us all today. And so CDC said that within the U.S., the assault is usually carried out by men and typically victims known by their predators. And we already know that they knew him, the wife, the friends, people that came with him, they knew him. And they said the agency has outlined 4 steps to approach and addressing this sexual assault case. If you know of one, if you're a counselor, if you're a teacher, if you are a pastor or women group ministry leader or youth pastor, church pastor leader. You said you need to outline the problem. Now, if you go back on my YouTube channel, you'll see I gave all the policy procedures about safety, dealing with youth and ministries and all that. Go back of the full teaching for a whole year on there. You can find it. We're talking about outlining the problem. The second one it said is identify protective and risk factors. All that is in that teaching. Then number 3, it says to create prevention strategies. I gave all the strategies you need to consider on there. They're not absolute on any of it, but God gave a good way for you to understand some things you need to be doing if you hosting right now a youth ministry or dealing with teens. because a whole bunch of you have got predators right there in that ministry, and you don't even realize it. I don't care how good they teach. I don't care how much they say they love kids. You better go back and listen to that tape that I got on YouTube, okay, to get you some understanding about dealing with these children and these teens today. And then you need to assure widespread adoption to those policies and procedures and to those things that you know that the laws of the land are defining concerning sexual assault, sex trafficking, sexual abuse, all these things, who are dealing with daycares and all this. I don't want to get no further than that. But then number 7, he disempowers this woman. This is what he did. He disempowered these women. The people know about what he did, but many times, because of who he was and what he is doing, they gave him more power by saying it couldn't have happened. His own brother finally said, no, don't put me in that, to define that this was not me. They say you're a predator, and then on a thin line, he's trying to say, well, maybe he is, maybe not. But we already know where our relatives are. We already know these perverted things that was going on in that house. You already know what he's been doing with these women. We already know. You want to cover it up. And so then hell continues to perpetuate. Not just in the communities, but now it perpetuates and have an opportunity to even go in your bloodline. And if you haven't already started having sex with some of the nieces and nephews, I heard his ex-wife say that she introduced him to him, and now he was having sex with her nieces. And Lord help us out. And so as he began to feed them with this destructive type of confidence in him or her, what they do, they start to disempower them. They start to have them so overwhelmed with feeling lonely or rejected that if I don't do what you want, they isolate themselves from them, primarily like he did. He would disappear, or he would make sure he isolate them from others so they can think on them like he did. I need daddy. Can I eat daddy? Can I drink daddy? Can I go to the bathroom daddy? All that made me want to just literally throw up. That this is going on in society for such a time as this, and people are not saying anything. That our children are going through these type of conferences. Events, whatever you want to call them. I call them hellholes. A lot of help today. And so what they do, they would threaten them. They would make threats to them, threatening remarks to them. And what they do is they hide behind this mask as they influence them, and they begin to make sure that they look at other ways that they can deal with them in a more severe manner when they don't do what they want to do up the road. They do something different. They take away, or they give them little bitty perks to make them feel, see, I still love you. I know I'm talking to somebody. And then finally, number 8, they secretly boast about their conquest, what all they've done. Isn't that so sad? That they would literally boast about how many women they've got, how many women they done had that loved them so much, how many girls they've had sex with, how many women have been with other women. They do that, to prove that, I'm very wanted. So this predator began to boast. They began to look at how they were able to make victims out of the victim. Lord help today. They began to look at how they was able to decrease their minds and get them to lower their own esteem to the point that your esteem is only vested in who I am. Because without me, you're nothing. So this is what they do. They make sure that they boast to others and they let them hear it and make them believe that they're going to be different, or they could not do anything, or they would not be able to be anything without them. And most importantly, they want to make sure they look different from the outside world. They want to make sure that I'm different, I'm strong, I'm powerful, and everything about me negates who I am. I is who I am, and everybody love me. Everybody love my music. Ain't nobody gonna be able to touch me, because this is who I am. But R. Kelly, I want you to know it ain't gonna work. What can we do now? I'm gonna get off here. This is what we need to do. First of all, we need to campaign Luke 12:2. Okay. You need to do the hashtag R. Kelly, Luke 12:2. We need to keep that moving in the kingdom. Okay. R. Kelly, yeah, Luke 12:2. Because you are coming down. Just like Jesus is Lord and he kicked Satan out, you coming down at our appropriate time. He's going to pull the cover off, go, boop, there it is. Your bubble is already bursted and you don't even know it. And so what can we do now? Here we are. Women, I said before, team ministries, prayer groups that's got these prayer lines, children, church leaders, all of us who are in the kingdom. We know we can't talk about it as bold as we like without proper policy and procedures to discuss certain things across the pulpit with all these gender bias and these different things with gay and lesbian rights and that we didn't go fight for as a body, we didn't fight against. So now we gotta bow down to the laws of the land concerning that. So we need to make sure that we are very careful about the way we talk in regards to fighting back. Okay. It is what it is. And so, as a church leader, myself, as a counselor and therapist, as one who believes that hell ain't gonna play over here, that I'm gonna talk and I'm gonna teach my grandkids and I'm gonna ask them questions and I'm gonna be investigating where they're going and what they're doing. I mean, I know everything all the time. But I can guarantee you, and they'll tell you, grandma gonna be asking questions. Yeah, I am, because I believe that I'm accountable. And I believe that you could begin now hosting some type of session, get a sign off by the parents, or either have them in there, like I said, do a family night. I think that's what you should do. Do a family night. And then see if you can get a sign off to do a release that you could do where the parent has released you to show a video or whatever and discuss it. That's what we do in my mentoring group. The parents sign off on it. We gotta use some strategy with kingdom wisdom to be able to help these victims or these people who are going into a victim state to get some help. Now, one of the things I think that really moved me the most to get on here was the issue that some of these girls were as young as 12 years old. And my God, I mean, for him to urinate in the mouth of that 14-year-old for this freak act, that he wanted to get his power and his control, demonstrated so that he can show these girls who was desperate for fame that you're going to have to do whatever I want you to do. It made me so sick. I got up, put this rag on my head, as you see here. And I said, the devil is crazy. Luke 12:2 is for you, R. Kelly. That's my campaign. That's my Me Too movement. Luke 12:2 for you, R. Kelly. And any other perverted, narcissistic, any of you who are out there being very, very bold in your pathological demonic demon type of mentality. And the Bible says the kingdom suffered violence, but we, as a body of the kingdom, we are taken back by force. And I'm here to make sure R. Kelly knows, and any other demon that come by my way that I hear, it's not going to be just me too. It's going to be me and Daddy too. And everybody else that's in me and Daddy too campaign, we believe God for Luke 12:2. Mm-hmm. And so should you feel that you've been in a relationship that's hearing me now, that you feel that this person is a sexual predator, this person has got an occult for sex trafficking, this person don't want you to let you go, this person is, making you do things that's against your will, that they buy you gifts, they do whatever, try to cover it up, or put you in a place to make it feel like if you don't do this, you're not going to be connected or you're not going to be able to get where you need to be. I want you to listen to me. You need to seek support. You need to go to someone who you can confide in. You need to seek counseling, sound counseling. Somebody that just know what they're doing, not just got a scripture and that's it. You need someone who can give you sound counsel about these matters. So that means you need to be with someone and with organizations who've experienced these kind of things, who know all about how to get you processed through the legal part of it and how to get you to counsel, get you healed, not just from that part of the experience, but to get you healed emotionally inside out. Lord, help me today. So there's RAINN. Go on Google. You can Google RAINN, RAINN, I think it's called, domestic violence. All kinds of domestic violence hotlines are out there. I love Elijah Rising. I give them kudos, who are still packing and making sure the devil knows they're packing great armor against sex trafficking. And so I'm asking you to join Elijah Rising. I'm asking you to look at any type of sex trafficking organizations that are out there, any type of rape crisis organizations that's out there. And I want you to look at these centers, and these people will help you get the right information you need and get you the help you need. Okay, let me close with this. I thought I was going to close a few minutes ago. Many of you are afraid, okay? So I want to say this to you. You may be victimized because maybe you convince yourself that some person wouldn't like you if you told the truth. Or maybe that person, who's promised you a certain thing, if you do tell, then you out of there, even though it makes you sick, it nauseates you, you wanted to have a baby, they made you have the abortion, so you can keep doing the sex acts, you can keep doing the threesomes, whatever that is. I want you to know that you've got to make sure that these things that you're thinking in your head, these thoughts, these things that you clearly have avoided to get help about, these things that you clearly are dealing with alone, these things that you are self-imposing yourself with of guilt, and it's not your guilt. It's you need to get some help for your pain of the fear of the telling and don't know what's going to come out of it after you tell. And so even though you may be having some of these thoughts that you feel like you're going to fail, you're not going to be able to get there, they're not going to like you, you're going to lose everything, you might lose your job, you might lose your position in the church, you feel like, you don't know what to say or how to say it. I just gave you some organizations that can help you. And I want you to know that thoughts like these, they betray who you really are emotionally and who you are spiritually. And I want you to think about your support system that I just gave you and think about how this devil has used this narcissistic, this pathological behavior to destroy so many today. Well, I'm going to get out here. I know I've been on here long, but I really don't care. I pray that anybody get to see this, that you will feel led to share it, fast forward it, do whatever. But make sure that we fight and shed light on this R. Kelly hell and all other types of sex trafficking and sexual abuse that is going on in our society today and even in the church. And I want to say this before I get out of here. Look at him. You see that? I'm keeping the light on. I got this light on you, R. Kelly. This light, kingdom light of Luke 12:2. It's just a matter of time. God bless you. Please share this message. Thank you who joined me today.